Outside, the city skyline glittered like a taunt, a stark contrast to the emptiness within him. John sat in his dimly lit study, nursing a tumbler of whiskey. His shoulders slumped under an invisible weight, and his tired eyes flickered between the glass in his hand and the city lights beyond the window. The lines etched into his face deepened as his jaw tightened, betraying the storm of frustration and regret roiling beneath his composed exterior. The emptiness had recently turned darker. Just weeks ago, John had a falling out with friends and family who dared to question the choices that defined his life. They had tried to nudge him with cautious words like, "You've been working too hard, John," or "When was the last time you were truly happy?" But their voices felt like knives, cutting through the armor of self-justification he'd built. The weight of his failures pressed against his chest like an iron hand. He tried to drown the regret with whiskey, but echoes of his decisions haunted him. If he didn't change, he feared he would die bitter and alone, leaving nothing but a legacy of broken relationships and empty accolades. After they'd gone, he lashed out at himself during a rare bout of introspection. Their insistence that he reflect on his priorities ignited his temper. He accused them of meddling, failing to understand the sacrifices he'd made. "You think I got here by sitting around, worrying about feelings?" he snapped. The confrontation ended in silence, heavy with disappointment, as friends and family abandoned him to the echo chamber of his anger. Their words, though touched in concern, struck him like accusations. As he sifted through an old leather-bound journal, entries from decades past stabbed at him, dreams abandoned, relationships neglected, promises broken. One name kept appearing, Emma. She had been his college sweetheart, the one who believed in him when no one else did. But he'd thrown it all away, choosing ambition over love. Emma had begged him not to leave for that out-of-state college. She spoke of her fears of being abandoned, her voice trembling as she confessed her belief in him but worried about being left behind. "We could build a life together here," she had pleaded, tears streaming down her face. "You don't have to go so far away to prove yourself." Her words hung heavy in the air. John, consumed by ambition and blinded by prestige, dismissed her concerns with hollow reassurances that rang false even to his own ears. He chose the distant college, leaving Emma on the doorstep, tears and heartbreak contorting her features as he walked away without a backward glance. By the time he realized what he'd lost, she had moved on. The shadows in the room seemed to shift and deepen, stretching and twisting as if alive. John blinked, his breath catching as the air turned dense and cold, brushing his skin like an icy hand. A faint rustling, like distant whispers, tickled his ears. He gripped his glass tighter, a faint tremor betraying his unease. Certain his mind was playing tricks, he sat frozen, heart pounding. Then, without warning, a figure emerged from the darkness. Its face was ageless, unreadable, but its demeanor reeked of irritation. "Oh, look who's wallowing in self-pity," it sneered, crossing its arms. "You think this is some booze-induced nightmare? Snap out of it, because this is real." John froze. What are you? Me? Just someone who's sick of watching you ruin yourself. You want to wallow? Fine. But if you want answers, come with me." Before John could protest, the figure yanked him to his feet with an iron grip. "Hey!" John stammered, stumbling back, glaring at the figure. "Who the hell are you, and why should I believe any of this?" The figure sighed and rubbed its temples. "Do you seriously think you're hallucinating? You can barely handle your whiskey, and now you think you're a philosopher? Look around." It gestured to the shimmering shadows and the faint hum of energy filling the air. "Does this look like a drunk's fever dream?" John hesitated, anger mixing with confusion. "It's a trick, or I'm losing it. I'm not buying it." The figure growled, stepping closer. "Fine, Doubting Thomas. Let me show you something you can't deny." It waved a hand, and a flash of light swallowed them whole. The air around them hummed and rippled, vibrations pressing against John's skin like invisible waves. A faint metallic tang filled the air, sharp and electric, as shimmering tendrils of light spiraled around them. Suddenly, they were hurtling through an ethereal tunnel, swirling lights pulsating in hypnotic patterns, casting fleeting shadows across John's bewildered face. The roar of rushing wind swallowed all other sounds, leaving him disoriented, as though space and time folded in on themselves. "What the hell is this?" he shouted, clutching at empty space as the tunnel whipped around him. "A shortcut, Copernicus," the figure snapped. "You think I've got time to explain quantum field manipulation to someone who can't even keep his life together? Buckle up." John's stomach churned, a toxic brew of anger and confusion bubbling inside him. "Quantum what?" he managed to sputter, voice barely audible over the roar. He grasped desperately for something solid as the surreal whirlwind carried him onward, uncertain where, or when, it would spit him out.